so Mom, today what we decided is you're going to talk about Dad. You're going to talk about, my father, Herman Stone, going from his babyhood all the way to adulthood, all the things you can remember, all the stories you can remember about him. Okay?
Yeah.
All right.
So we did tell the story about him 2 years old, how he got my little.
No, we didn't tell, so I need you to go ahead and tell that story.
Oh, well, they were living in Philadelphia. Herman and his mother.
Okay.
And Philadelphia, they had this houses were like tenement houses were a row. And but like a small person between each, like they had 4 apartments. And on the balcony, you cover that whole thing, and then you go over to about that much, and you get the next section. So one morning, when Herman's mother came home, she came home, I guess, and went to bed.
This was Grandma Ollie, right?
Grandma, yeah. And went to bed, and he got up around 6 o'clock, and she was sound asleep, and they did lock the door as usual, and he got up and he looked out at the balcony, and and Lucy said she went out because she was just dusting her apartment.
This is a neighbor. Her name was Ludi.
Yeah. And so she saw him out there, wet and cold, and so she told her husband, jump over the rail and get that baby. So he did. And they got the child, and she took the child and then she fed him, and she gave him, and she told her husband to go to 5 or 10 to buy him the baby some clothes, and she gave him a bath and got him dressed. So when his mother woke up about 10 o'clock that morning, she was that frantic what happened to her baby. So Luther said to her, oh, I have him here. I fed him, clothed him, and put him to sleep. And so she said, I hope you don't mind. Oh, no, I don't mind one bit. You can do that every day as far as I'm concerned. And so with that, Ludi took care of the baby and almost raised him and had him, took him to church and had him baptized. And that's how he got the name Printy.
Okay.
Because she saw the name Printy in a magazine and she thought it was so cute. And she had Herman baptized and named Printy. His name was Herman Printy Stone. And so, well, they stayed there for a while.
Okay, let's stop before you go further. Let's go back. So he was born, though, in Wrench, Georgia in 1920.
Yeah.
And at that time, Grandma Ollie was married, right?
Yeah, no, she was married to Alonzo.
His father, Alonzo Stone.
Right.
Okay. And so this is about 2 years later, in 1922, you're saying, and she has moved to Philadelphia.
She had moved, you see, they were living they had moved from Stapleton, Georgia, and to Bull Street in
they moved to Savannah.
In Savannah.
Right.
When Herman's mother has a bad habit of picking fights. And she did this with, when Eliza came from work, she began fighting with the devil.
Uh-huh.
And she expected him to jump in the fight and take her side.
Mm-hmm.
And he would say to her, look, go fix my dinner. I don't have time for this.
Mm-hmm.
And that she left him because he didn't love her. And because if he loved her, he would
He would have defended her and been on her side.
defended her.
That's what she said.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. And so she left him
So
and
she
went
left
up to
him
Philadelphia.
and took the baby. And then after she took baby, she moved to Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know who was her company, her friends or whatnot, but she would be out almost every night. Sometimes she'd take the baby and leave in the car while they go to the bar and have the drinks and dance or whatnot. But eventually, she took somebody warned her that if she keeps on doing that, but they're going to take the child away from her. And so with that, she decided to take the child down to her mother in Stapleton.
In Stapleton.
And the mother kept the baby until about 70. He was about 7 years old.
Okay, so that was in Jefferson County, in Stapleton, Georgia, in Jefferson County. Okay, and that's the family homestead, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you want to go forward? You want to go? What happened after Philadelphia?
No. So I don't know what happened to Luna, but he left. Oh no, it's kind of blurry.
Okay.
After he was 7 years old, she took him back. I took her, Herman, and she lived in Florida, she lived in Georgia, she lived in Philadelphia, she lived in New Jersey, and she lived in New York. So he would bounce around from family to family to family to family, and then he was, I think he was about 16 years old. And when he was 16 years old, his father came up from Detroit and said, oh, you don't have to live like this. Come on home, I'll take you to Detroit. And so he came back, he lived there with his father. His father was married and had a business, but cleaning business.
His father was married?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
His father was married. I forgot the name of his father, other wife. But anyway, he had divorced
Grandma.
and that divorced her. And his father, but like the business, cleaning business was just a front for money, for running numbers.
For running numbers. Okay.
And so, but they used to have, they would have business. And his father got so, the wife would go in and register, take money out, don't put the paper in and say that I took $10 out, I took $20 out. She just take it out, and the father started to accuse him of taking the money. And he said, his father no, he wasn't taking the money out of the register. But he was afraid to
Accused.
not accused, But first, his wife, I said, you're taking by, why don't you
Right.
leave a paper saying I took some money out? It's easy for him to accuse Herbert.
Right.
So Herbert said, well, after a while he said, well, since I've been accused, I will take the money out. And he took some money out and he decided to go to Flint. And he went to Flint because that's when they had horse racing and things like that. And he done a job there shining shoes.
Shining shoes. Okay.
Right. He got a job in shining. And he worked there, I think, for a couple of months till he saved up enough money. Then he went back to Detroit and told his father he was leaving. And he left and came back to New York and went to his Aunt Mary. When living at his Aunt Mary was no fun because you had to pay her. And he didn't have a job, and so she said, well, if you don't have a job, you can't pay me, you can't stay here, because you can't live in New York for free. And so he got a job washing bottles downtown New York. So, and he worked there for a couple of years. I think he was around 19 when he decided that this was a life. This was a certain kind of life. And he saw when he will join the armed forces. So instead of keeping it to himself, he told it to one of their co-workers. He says, this job is getting me nowhere, and I didn't go to school, and I did do something with my life, and so I think I joined the Navy. And so with that, the guy went and told the boss that he is thinking of joining. That Herbert is thinking of joining the Navy. So the boss, okay, the boss said to him, I heard you are thinking of going to the Navy. He said, but I don't need you because I want somebody here permanently, not somebody going fly by night. So you don't work on the end of the week and you are fired. Boom. That was it. So he went and told Babe said, well, you're fired down there, you're fired here too. Because you ain't got no job. So he never said about Lucy. Because at the time I think Lucy had moved up to the desert also. I moved to New York and lived in the in that what the apartment, big apartment named in New York, or Sylvia tried to go to Euless.
Oh, it's named after the famous poet and actor and
Yeah.
Dunbar apartment.
Dunbar apartment. So, but he never talked about Lucy. So he went ahead and he signed up for the Navy, but he wanted to get on the ship. But they got him a job. I think he was 17 and a half. And
No, you said he was 19.
Huh?
You just said he was 19.
Yeah. And then he had to be 18. So he forged his modern name. And then they put him at the Naval Academy. And he didn't want that. He wanted a boat, just a ship.
Right.
So He said those are white boys, there were a bunch of white men and white boys in the Naval Academy. There was a black man there. The black men were the one that did the cleaning and whatnot and
Right.
whatnot. So that's his job. Like scrubbing the floor, and they were scrubbing the floor and had the knees and the white boys were so snobbish and so nasty to them. They would deliberately just drop things on the floor so that they would have to go
Pick 'em
clean it
up.
up. So eventually he pulled out, he said, they're tired of this, I got to get busy. I didn't join to to scrub floors, to join these kind of work. I want to be on a ship. So he decided uh, to, to have an accident. And they had some long iron pipes. I don't know where, but anyway, he felt like he had fallen there. He just grabbed the pipe and he burned his hand. And so with that, he was, they let it go on. He asked him if he wanted to go, he said he wanted to go on the ship. So they sent him on the submarine. And he went on this submarine in Florida up to that point long, up to that, what they call that
The
place?
Keys?
Huh?
The Keys? The Florida Keys?
Yeah, no, not the Keys. I guess it's the Keys, I don't know. But it's way up there, the point of Florida.
Uh-huh.
And he said up there, and he said he met a girlfriend, first lady, the girl bought a fried some fish at the sea excavation, and boy said it was the best fish he ever had. So anyway, then he went on the ship and the submarine around, and then the World War II started, and then he started really. He became the assistant to the chef. Yeah, the Filipinos were the cooks. And they just, and he learned from them how to set the table, how to do lots of stuff. So, no, I don't know what happened. He did say what happened to it. And he said he was on the ship, and then eventually he got on this ship, submarine that went to Panama.
Right.
And that was I think 41 2.
Yeah, I think the war had been declared because that
Yeah.
ship was heading to Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
But it was going through the Panama Canal Zone. I read up on that. 'Cause
Right.
It's on the internet. But let me ask you this before you go any further. There's one story you left out when he was living in New York, going to school, living at grandmother's house and there or apartment, and there were other people in the apartment about his breakfast. That story.
Oh yes, oh yes. He was about 12 or 13 years old. That's right. And they went in New York. It looked like you were looking to get an apartment, so with 7 rooms, so that you can rent those rooms to pay your rent.
Right.
So this lady had her son. I think she had a son and a husband, and his mother had rented the house, a room from her. So, but the mother was typical, goes out to stay all night and come back around 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. He gets up and take his bath and put on some clothes, very clean or not. And go on to school, but she has to pass through the kitchen to go out the street to go to school. So when he passed, there was this woman with her son with a big bowl of oatmeal and a banana. And they said he did like crazy and they would offer him a mouthful. And he didn't have anything to eat that night, that morning. So when they went to school, the teacher says, hold up your hand those who didn't have breakfast. So he would hold up his hand. So she said to him, Herbert, you had breakfast this morning? Oh, yes, ma'am, I had breakfast. Well, what did you have? Well, we had pork chop and bread and biscuits and then Coke or something. She said, are you sure? Yes, ma'am, I am sure. So later on, she took him and said, tell the truth, Herbert. You didn't have any breakfast. No, ma'am, I didn't. And so every morning, she would make sure that he had some breakfast that day like that too. And so he said he was so jealous of that man, that boy. Sit out there in the big bowl of cereal and guess what he did? He died before I did. Ha ha ha! I say, shame on you. The boy got nothing to do with what his mama did.
Right, right.
No, I said, I could never know that your mother did the fishing breakfast. I would never let you pass my kitchen and not give you something to eat. I could do it. So, anyway, but she did. That was another one that this was June the 30th when they didn't have but the soup kitchen was.
Right, right.
So he said that this woman was for some reason she was able to she would fry the chicken, bake a biscuit, cook rice or something, and greens, and leave it cover up and go to church. And this guy would be the guy would be in the bed in the room where he read the room where the Medicare would pay, Medicare would pay, and he smelled that food, and he'd get up. I said, I just could take one piece of chicken and one biscuit. And when he found out, he said, he died.
Oh no. Not daddy. Somebody
No.
else, yeah.
So he had to go. But anyway, so he went on the ship. And then the ship came.
Wait, now we're back to him being in the
Yeah,
Navy.
yeah,
Okay, now he's in the
18
Navy. Okay.
18 years old though,
All
18,
right.
19 years old.
1939 is when he joined, so he's 19.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he thought of that.
Well, 1939 is when he went in.
Yeah, he
Okay.
went to,
Yeah.
he took the ship, and the ship was all around New York, all around this area, maneuvering. And then eventually the guy got orders, I guess, to go to, what do you call it?
It was set to go to Pearl Harbor.
Yeah,
Right.
got orders to go to her. And they were expected to go to Pearl Harbor, they didn't expect to come back. So anyway, they were on this ship. So there was this guy by the name of Smith, a white guy.
No, okay. I think you told this story already. You already told this story.
Oh, I
You're
thought
talking
that.
about when Dad called the guy called him Roscus and
Yeah,
you already told that. So
I
yeah.
told that story.
Yeah. So let's go back. Are there any more stories about his youth or his? What about the story when he stood up and he told all the people, "As I look around this room"? What about that story?
Oh,
Yeah.
that was when he was at his grandmother, 7-year-old. He was, his uncle, one of his uncle had died. So what he did was,
Mom, stop with the chair.
they took, at that time,
Stop with the chair.
I would admit, I'm
Yeah,
trying to put
get
my
settled
feet up.
yeah.
At that time, naturally, they didn't have, if they didn't have funeral parlor, black people, they go to down south.
What now? Wait. What? Say that again.
I said, at that time, they didn't have funeral parlor.
Okay.
But if they did, black people didn't go to it.
Okay.
So when the uncle died, he was laid out in the coffin in the house.
Okay.
So all his workers, the field workers, would come from the field, all the sweaty and dirty, and sit around waiting for food.
Mm-hmm.
So here Harper was about 6 years old, jumped up on the table, swinging his foot back and forth, and said, "But as I look around, I see there's only one light-skinned person here but me." And you clear says, "Ma, come and get this boy here. Come get this boy here."
Now, whose funeral was that? Who died?
Huh?
Who had died? Whose funeral?
His uncle.
Which uncle? I mean, who was it?
One of the uncle.
It was one of grandmother's brothers?
One of grandmother's son.
One of his mother's brothers. One of Grandma Ollie's brothers.
Yes.
And you don't know which one?
Luther, right?
Luther. Okay, that's important. We need to know the history. Okay.
Luther.
All right.
I didn't know what Luther.
Do you know what happened? How did he die?
No, I don't know how he
Okay.
died. I don't know whether he died of some kind of poison or there, but he died. Yeah, Cleo didn't go into all of that.
Yeah, but Cleo was living I saw the census report. Cleo was living there with her husband. Dad was living there. Uncle Walter was living there, and Aunt Vivian was living there, all with grandmother. She was raising all those children.
Right.
Because you said Walter and Vivian's mother
had died. Yeah, they didn't know. That's another thing. She got sick, and they didn't know why she got what was wrong with her, and she died.
Got you.
They said that her husband was her ex-wife. Poison or something.
Oh no.
But they're not sure. They know.
What was her name? What was their mother's name?
Oh boy.
Walter and Vivian's mother.
I forgot.
I know. I forgot too. I knew her name too. I can't remember it right now. I have to think about it. Yeah. Okay. So then she died, and then they ended up being raised there with grandma.
Yeah.
Grandma's mom.
The grandmother raised Vivian and Walter.
Right.
And then she had Herbert. And then Herbert said that till he was 7 years old.
Yeah, because you were talking about that. So that was Mariah Smith and John Smith. Those were grandmother's parents.
Yeah.
and that's who they were living with in Stapleton.
Yes.
On family land that was inherited, or not inherited, but was passed down to John Smith.
And then she was living on Bull Street, and the country asked her to take her on Bull Street. But when she got there, it was completely different.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw the address in Ancestry, and we're going to one day look around and see what it looks like. But let's go back to that house. The house in 1920, I guess it was 1925, 1927.
Whose house?
Or 1924, 25, 26. Mariah and John Smith.
Oh.
Okay, so they're out in Stapleton. Now, I guess that house they lived in, was it on the same side where Mary's house was?
The house they lived in was the same house I told you that Sweetie lived in.
Okay.
That was the house that my mother grew up in.
Okay, so right there on Stapleton, well, it's a highway now. I think it's called the Jefferson. What is it? I can't think of the name of it, but it's the highway there. It's that property is still in the family.
Yeah.
And how did John Smith get that property? How did her?
I think
because her father was born a slave. Grandma's father was born a slave, right?
John
Smith.
Smith was John Smith.
And he was born a slave in 1963.
Yeah, he was born.
1863, right?
Yeah, and he was born from a slave woman and a white man.
Right. His mother was a slave and his father was a slave
white
owner.
man, right. And gave him all that property.
And so you were saying that sometimes the slave owners would treat their own children, even though they were part black, they would treat them well enough and they would give them. So you're saying he was given that land. Yeah. And then that land that he ended up giving it to his children, right?
Right. Now the funny thing about it, that they would take Cleo and Mary and Rita, they would take John, the father, to New York, but they would never take their mother.
Because she was too black.
That's right. Because she was too black.
She was too dark skinned, yeah. Yeah, the mother was very dark skinned.
And the mother was very religious. And the thing about it, the mother could read.
She could read, right.
That's how they know when they were born, and because she had it all in the Bible.
In the Bible. I remember Grandma Ollie telling me that Mariah, her mother's favorite scripture was in 2 Corinthians 5, which was actually one of my favorite scriptures. But yeah, so you said she was so religious that you said Daddy would sing songs, I guess popular songs.
Oh, yes, and she would tell him something about the South.
The Bowdy songs?
Yeah. And sing religious songs like Jesus Loves Me and things. I don't want to sing it. And those kind of songs around me anyway.
Did they all go to Harts Grove? Yeah, they all went to Harts Grove Baptist Church, didn't they?
What?
Harts Grove Baptist Church.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they
Harts Grove, that's right.
Because when I go out there to the graves, I see John and Mariah, and she spells her name Maria, Maria. But I saw their graves, and many of the grandma's siblings are out there. And as Harts Grove Baptist Church is right there in Jefferson County. It's the family church.
All right.
Yeah. And so, tell real quick, how did Grandma Ollie get the land? You said that,
the property was left to John, and then John gave it to his children.
Right.
When there were so many of them, and they divided property up, but Cleo decided that she would take care of everybody, and those who wanted to sell her, they they write their code, and so most of them just decided to give it to her, and so and there was a big fight about them. So Mom said she told Cleo she didn't want any of the money, and she didn't want the property, and she didn't want the hair, and she went to bought that property in rent.
But Cleo gave her, bought her out of her property, right?
No, she wouldn't take the money.
Oh, she wouldn't. I thought. Oh, how did she get the property in rent?
Tried to give
How did she afford the property in rent without any money?
because she lived in New York all her and then after she lived in New York, she she, she sold Herman her apartment. And after she sold him her apartment, I'm not for some good amount, then he went ahead and decided, okay, we're going to live here. And he bought a refrigerator, and he bought a Venetian blind and every rug. And when she came back, and she saw how we had fixed up the apartment, she wanted it back. So he gave it back to her. And I told him, I said, well, if you will give her back the apartment, why don't you just have her to give you back the money that you
Right.
sold her? He said, no, never be. Oh, by the way, when he was when he was on the ship, when he did hit New York Harbor, and he was being shipped to
Panama.
the Pacific. He wanted to take a picture with his mother. So the only person that had a phone was Cleo, Eula. So he would call Eula and ask her to get his mother to meet him at this photographer down in New York, so that they would have him, because he was being shipped out,
Right.
and he wanted to take a picture with her.
Right.
And when he got there and wait, she would come. And he would, eventually, he asked permission to go leave, and he went and he had to go get her.
That's the picture we have. We have that picture.
That picture, that's
the picture,
right.
yeah, of him. Oh, wow. Okay, the story of that picture.
Yes,
And that was
right.
before he was about to be shipped out, and they were going to go to the Panama Canal Zone and then head out to Pearl Harbor.
That's right.
Okay. Wow. Oh, that's interesting. But yeah. So basically, from what you're saying, his mother was not the most reliable person.
His mother was, I don't know, there's nothing wrong with her.
But she only had him. He's the only child. So when we talk about aunts and uncles, we're talking about her brothers and sisters, right? Yeah. Not,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, right, he took, but then after he got married, she decided she was the greatest mother. Because after he was ordained, Mary said to me, Edith, you ought to take your hat off because you did a wonderful job with Herman. And she said, what about me, Mary? She said, yes, you too, Arlie.
So talk a little bit about, okay, so we're going to fast forward. So now he's in Panama. We already have the story where he met you. And so let's talk about him and your father, what was happening between them.
Oh, he met my father. Oh, what he was, AWOL. But he went, he had to, but he did come back. They put him in the bridge for for 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
And bread and water. And the only book they had in there was the Bible.
Bread and
So he
water.
read the Bible from
Beginning.
Genesis to Revelation.
Oh, okay.
I read the Bible every day. So he goes challenge my father. Because then my father was a minister, priest. And so Mama said to him, well, I don't argue with politics nor religion.
Who said that?
My father told him that.
Mm-hmm.
And he told him that, what he reads, he can take it any way he wants to.
Mm-hmm.
But don't try to push it down other people's throat.
He told Dad don't push it down other people's throat?
The dad father told him.
Okay.
My father told your father that to whatever he believes, that's his belief.
Right.
Don't put it down my throat.
Right. But Daddy didn't believe anything. Daddy didn't go to church. He didn't do. He had
no
faith.
He didn't.
So what is he pushing down Grandpa's throat?
The Bible he read.
Oh, okay. All right.
The Bible he read.
So he's arguing with Grandpa.
That's right. He thought he knew everything.
Okay. He was challenging him. I would assume Dad was a little bit skeptical, and he was challenging Grandpa.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
right. Mm-hmm. So eventually he stopped listening. And then the next thing I knew, he would get up, he was going to school.
This is now we're fast forward many years. You're married now. You're in New York. Okay.
Yeah, and the next thing I knew, he would leave the house at 7 o'clock in the morning, and then. Did not occur to me what is happening.
Right.
I forget that when he just going to maybe the library or.
Right, you know what he was doing.
So the next thing I knew, after about 6 months or more, the next thing I knew, he showed me a certificate where he was
baptized.
No, confirmed.
Confirmed. Oh, okay.
Where he was confirmed. I think that is something, because when I went to New York, I couldn't find an Episcopal church. I looked all over, so Geneva, but no moon and my mother-in-law said, come go to church with me, and so I would have a nickel. Say, oh no, don't come on, go to the store and get that nickel independent. And because they take up connection 3 or 4 times, I just put the penny in each time. That.
So you weren't going to an Episcopal church, you said, because you couldn't find one?
Couldn't find one.
Okay, but Dad found one?
No.
Oh.
No, wait a minute.
Okay.
So, eventually, I don't know, I was talking to somebody at Timothy.
Your brother.
Yeah, Timothy. Oh, that's it, Andrew's right there at 135th Street. So, we walk around there, he told me where St. Andrew's door.
Which church was it? What church was it? What was the name of the church?
Yeah.
What was the name?
St. Andrews.
St. Andrews. Okay, we couldn't hear you. All right.
So we went and Savior was baptized here. So was Herbert.
Okay. Okay. All right. And then that's where Daddy went to get That's
where the church he went to. Took every morning, go there and take lessons. He had several other, and then eventually they comforted him at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock one morning.
And you had no idea
I had no
he
idea.
was doing that. And did you all go to church?
Huh?
Did you all go to church
Oh, yes.
on Sundays?
We went to church on Sundays.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I went to church and went to had the kids baptized and whatnot. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's what I told you about the Herman. I went to church, I went to Macy's, I bought the fancy clothes, and then I went to church, come home, put on the the new shoes and the new outfit, and sat down and sat to play while I fixed it and read the paper. We read the paper. And when he came in, he came in with no shoes on. So I asked him, where is your shoes? Oh, it's outside the door. I said, why did you leave your shoes outside the door? I said, go there and bring your shoes. And he brought a pair of old raggedy shoes in. I said, where were they new shoes? Well, I was playing with this boy, and he thought we were playing racing, and he beat me every time. And he said it was his shoes that if I exchanged my shoes and gave him my shoes, and he gave me his shoes, my shoes, I could beat him. And he took my shoes, put it on, and he ran. I said, but you're not stupid.
Poor Herman.
And when I told him about that his kids, don't you dare.
Oh, kids, you get to hear it. You get to hear it from the horse's mouth. Oh, wow. My shoes are faster than your shoes.
My shoes, that's right. My shoes are faster than yours. Then I told you about this Cece. Cece was beating the heck out of him. I said, Herbert, why you allow Cece to hit you and beat you up? Well, he's my friend. I said, if he's your friend, I'm not a friend to you. He's beating you up, and you can't hit him back because he's your friend. I heard it. Oh boy, he was crazy.
So, okay, so talk a little bit about how Dad. I know you used to talk about how Dad was really into grooming and
Oh, that was right.
into grooming and looking really sharp, and he would spend a long time in the bathroom getting ready in the morning.
Oh, what's when he got the job at the after that news.
Okay. Historic African American
He
newspaper
would-
in New York City.
His clothes, he made us, I think he was at the college, Southern something. That was the big selling point of clothes in New York. And he would be dressed up and spend hours in bathroom growing his hair and put on stocking cap to get his hair in order.
That sounds about right.
Huh?
That the boys do that now. Yeah.
Yeah, I made with the raggedy clothes.
And what?
Me with
I
raggedy
can't believe
clothes.
you have
And
raggedy.
he dressed again.
And he would get on the Long Island Railroad and head into the city.
Uh-huh.
So what? So he lost his job at some point at the Amsterdam News. What, in the 50s, right?
Yeah, he in the, yes.
What happened?
Well, as I said, he would put
Paper to bed.
they would bundle up the paper, and the bundle paper, you put the paper, you wrap it give the guy that could drop him off at the center area.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but they would bundle up with it and they would say have maybe 100 bundles and they might just say 75 bundles. So the other 25 bundles, whatever each would belong to,
Mm-hmm.
and Hubbard would go along with it.
Mm.
So they have so they didn't know about that working with them. Because even the boss was doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But they did my favor because he said he was taking a leave with them to do them because they all were dropping their night flights.
Everybody was dying. Yeah, they said that newspaper business is a tough business. How long was he there? He was a circulation manager, right?
Yeah, circulated manager. He started there. Let me see what. In 1952, I think he
Yeah.
was there.
Okay.
In 1952, that's when he graduated from college.
So when he lost his job, what happened? What happened at home? What was happening with the family? I mean, how'd you all survive?
Oh, when they tried him, when he got the we had just got the door up on the house.
Which was for me, right? Because,
That's right, you were a baby,
mm-hmm.
and you got me at the door up there. I think you were about 6. It was in May. It was in May, because he took it to application to me. And you born
I was born in December, so it's about 5 months old.
5 months old, that's right. And so, but we was having coffee when the bill came on that letter came in that he was sent to me severance pay, and that was it. So, well, what happened? We had the money to pay off the bill for the double,
Mm-hmm.
so that wasn't be. So here comes this mother. Okay, you and I should go out and get a job. To her, said to me, you ain't gonna do a second thing. I am the boss, I am the man of this house, and you are not going to get, you got a job right home here, take care of 3 kids.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to get nobody's job. I will take care of you. I said, okay. I said, let me tell you something. I'm going to call the gas people. I'm going to call the electric people. I'm going to call the telephone people. I'm going to call the mortgage people. And I'm going to tell them you have lost your job. And I will pay them I will pay them as much as I can. You know what they want to tell me?
What?
If you can't pay, don't worry about it.
Wow.
Because I used to, that's what I tell you. Pay your bills. Pay your bills and pay it in full. And every time it works.
Mm-hmm.
You know it works over here with American Express. Every time it works. So that I didn't have to, I'd sit, boom. Next thing I know, he got a job at the Hampton at the Ebony.
Okay, well, wait a minute. I thought there was a period, I thought people would, what about the newspapers? I always heard the stories about people delivering newspapers. Herman and different,
Herman?
the family members got out to help out by delivering newspapers.
Oh, yeah, the not newspaper.
Oh.
Telephone book.
Oh, okay.
Herman and Savior, they got the telephone book. I would deliver the telephone book. And what else did they do? Something they did to make the little change, but that didn't make out. Then he was getting unemployment.
He did get unemployment, yeah.
Right.
But you told me too that his attitude, he kind of had a bad attitude, but then after he lost his job and the whole family had to come together, it really seemed to change his attitude.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
He was drinking too much.
Mm-hmm.
And then he realized after he left that after the reflect back, he noticed everybody was dropping dead or having stroke.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, he did him a favor
Mm-hmm.
when they fired him.
Mm-hmm.
And then he went to the afternoon, and I went to my priest, and I said to him, I said, I have 3 kids, and I don't want to be separated from my husband because I don't want the kids to run, him run with me or with the kids and her. I said, would you please talk to him because he is drinking a little bit too much. Like on weekends, he would never, on weekend he'd be drinking and he'd come home and he wasn't nasty. He wasn't fighting, wasn't kind of the fighting like that, but I just didn't like it. I just think it was terrible that he was drinking like that on the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And I swear to God, I said to him, I said, you don't know what to do. I said, you come home at 3 o'clock in the morning, you tell me these young kids brought you home. You don't know what these young kids might have done to you.
Mm-hmm.
So you should stop. And then he came home with a woman and a man, the husband and wife, and she said to me, don't you worry, Enid, because I have a husband and I would never let your husband bring a woman to my house. Because he always swear that he drinking, but he never, in most of the case I don't swear anything like that. But I said to him, I said, but you haven't, with the anniversary, you are not here.
Mm-hmm.
When my auntie friend, you sound like a child. My friend, I told him my anniversary, and they said, come on, have a drink with me, and that was the end of you.
Yeah, that was a big issue for you. He would celebrate your anniversary, but not with you, right?
That's right. That's with me.
Right.
So I talked to Dr. Father Murray. And
That's at St. Thomas in Long Island, right?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
St. Thomas. And Father Murray took him aside and talked to him because that was one thing I do. Every time the church door was open, I had him right there.
You what? You were there?
Him and I were there.
You were there, okay.
And he went one Thanksgiving, he had tears in his eyes. The priest was talking to him,
Mm-hmm.
and he gonna have to stop whatever he do. I said, that's true, you gonna have to stop.
His conscience was getting to him, huh?
Yeah, that's right. So, Father Murray talked to him, and then he come and said to me, he think he going to join the priesthood,
Mm-hmm.
and that was
I
that.
think because he said something like, God wants you. I think that's,
Yeah,
it was something.
Jesus is calling
Jesus
you.
is calling you.
Yeah.
And he felt, that's what the preacher said, and he felt like God
No,
was talking
it
to
was
him.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when he began So he eventually started going at night to seminary while he was working full time at Ebony
Right.
magazine. Yeah, and he was advertising. Was he in advertising at Ebony? What was his job at Ebony?
Yeah, advertising.
Advertising, yeah. So he was an executive, sharp guy, but he was going to seminary at night. And finally, he graduated from seminary and became a priest in about 1965, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, one last story, then we'll end it. I want you to tell the story about he's a priest, and then I think it's Father Roscoff invited you guys over, invited the family over for dinner, and your mother was visiting from Nicaragua.
Oh.
Yeah, tell that story.
Oh, now, Father Raskoff, the practice where that was when he was, but he had just been ordained, and he was, the job they gave him was the job working for the churches of the council, the council of churches, whatever. And but he used to use their car, their truck, their van.
Okay.
And he would use their van to come home and go back down with, they were out, the church, county church were about 60 miles in Riverhead.
Okay.
Out, and they work with the migrant workers.
Right, migrant workers, right.
The migrant workers. So he would, so if, I don't know, all the members of the church council were white. And all, so the get decided that he wasn't going to use he could use the van anymore to come home. And he would have to take his car and go to the Riverhead.
Which is out in Suffolk County, which is quite a ways.
Yeah, and
3
then
hours.
I would be stranded.
Right.
So, Herald paper, Long Island Press, came to my house, the house, and I don't know how it got in the paper, but the Long Island Press came to my house and asked me how do I feel about moving out to Long Island with the migrant worker. I says, I felt, I don't really want me to answer because I am not moving out there. I say, I have
About 7, 8-year-old, probably 7 or 8.
7-year-old daughter, and I'd be doggone if I could move out there with that mother, but he told me how to carry on. No. I said, no, I'm not moving out there. I said, if the child calls some churches want to separate us, let them go right ahead. I said, but I think best thing to do is we will talk to the bishop and find out that he don't have to work out there.
Okay.
So I get they read in the paper. I was not going to move with my little daughter out there with those migrant workers.
Right.
Okay. So after we so I've talked to the bishop. I forgot he was there.
Sherman?
I forgot the name of the bishop.
Was it Bishop Sherman?
No, Sherman was the head bishop.
Okay.
He was the bishop under him.
Okay.
And so he said, you are right. We are going to find. We don't know why we put them on in the first place, but we will have it as a curate for Father Raskoff out in Franklin Square.
Which is on Long Island, right near you.
So he would, that's what he would, and so I would invite them to dinner on Sunday evening.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess, he did find meanwhile my mother had come from Nicaragua, and she was there. She didn't like to stay with Byron because she said Byron pushed her to sleep in the hall,
Yeah.
and she didn't like to sleep in the hall.
Mm-hmm.
Milton was up in the air, and she didn't like on them steps.
Mm-hmm.
Florence was an alcoholic, and she couldn't stand that.
Mm-hmm.
The only person she could was stay with me.
Mm-hmm.
So she stayed with me. So Roscoff decided one day that, okay, no, you just invite that doctor to dinner. I think we are going to invite you all to dinner.
Mm-hmm.
So he did. So we are going to dinner, and my husband said to me, why don't you have your brother Byron? Why don't you call Byron and tell Byron we are going out and we'd like to leave your mother with him and then we come back and pick him up. And I says, no, my mother is going to dinner with us. I said, why can't you go with her? But I don't want her to mother Tanku. I said, well, if you don't want to hear my mom just said Tanku, then you just take Vicky and go. Because I am not. I am going to, but either go with that or I stay home with her.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, I said, I do a preach. What the kind of foolishness is that you have? You go, what do you call it? By the way,
Will I be ashamed of because of her accent? Be ashamed of his mother-in-law?
yeah,
Yeah.
the tongue cool. So, we go, my brother Roscoff was a man about, I think he was in his 30s.
I just remember he was good looking, and as a little kid, I thought he was good looking. So that's crazy. But anyway.
Yeah, and then he did, his wife was in her 20s.
Oh wow, they were young.
She was very young.
Uh-huh.
And she did that. So, when we got there, we get there around 4, I think. She came and said to him, I don't know what has been in the kitchen. So I said, but do you need a man? She said, yes. I said, come on, Ma, let's go. And me and my mother were did and took over the kitchen. We didn't eat until after 6, but believe me, it was worth it.
It was good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So your grandmother Louisa, Taylor, Hawkins, and Grandpa called her Uta.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And so what happened? What did they think? What did the Roscoffs think of your grandma?
What
did the Roscoffs think of your mother?
Oh, they loved her. Mm-hmm. They loved her. I don't know what the act about, but they really did. They loved to hear her talk because she had a deep accent.
Mm-hmm.
And me too.
Yes. Oh wow.
Yes, so.
Yeah. All right.
But then my mother did a thing that I did not appreciate.
What she did?
When Sweet Man got married.
When who got married?
The Sweet Man, he never ate out.
Talking about Stanley's son?
Sunday, so
You call him
yeah.
Sweet Man?
Yeah, that's what your mother called him. When he got married, um, they had the wedding. We didn't go to the wedding. We just went to the reception. And it was on a Sunday evening. Um, and so while we went, they had wine and they had music. So we're dancing and drinking wine. And the next thing I know, I got there from my sister. What do you mean by going to on Sunday evening drinking wine and dancing?
Which sister? Patience? Or
Patience.
Okay.
I tell right there, I said, Patience, I am a married woman. I said, if I want to drink liquor, wine, or whatever, I dance, I walk around naked, not none of your damn business, okay? No, you, my husband, he said to me about it, how dare you? Who the devil wrote you anyway? So I called Emma. I said, Emma, did you write Patience with my mother? She said, I wouldn't do a thing like that. She said, I tell you probably who did Carmen, her daughter. The, with that, I haven't heard a word from Patience anymore until she come to the house.
Which Carmen she talking about? Milton's daughter? No, what Carmen? You said Carmen wrote her? What Carmen?
Emma's daughter. Emma's daughter, Carmen.
Oh, really? No, it wasn't. It wasn't her. It was your mother, right?
Huh?
It was your mother who told Patience.
Emma, yeah. My mother had Carmen to write
Oh,
the
okay.
letter to
Okay.
Patience.
Okay. Oh, I see.
That I was drinking wine and dancing.
Yeah. Okay. Carmen was a kid. Yeah. Wow. You and that dancing, I tell you. Remember when we were in Managua and that lady was talking about, what's her name? Oh gosh, I can't remember nobody's name. But the lady we met, she was talking about you, rumors of you dancing in Panama and hooping it up in Panama.
Oh,
Hooker, Miss Hooker. Remember when we went to see Miss Hooker in Managua? Me, you, Tula, and Maria? And Miss Hooker was talking about you dancing in Panama.
oh,
Yeah.
honey, I used to that. I remember one quick New Year's Eve after him and I left church, and we went to Spanish Town. And man, I started dancing, and next thing you know, me and a Spanish woman, I was on that floor, and there had been a
Big circle
around us.
around you.
And I couldn't walk. I had to take off my shoes and walk barefoot.
Home because you were so much pain, all that dancing.
But
Yeah.
the shoes, I did a high heel, was regular heel.
And you know, Bluefields is kind of famous for its dancing. Bluefields is famous for its music and its Caribbean music and I guess calypso.
I was shocked when the manager, city manager, said to me, "Bob, sir, I didn't know you could dance like that." I said, "When did you see me dancing?" At the chambers.
Oh, you're talking about you're way in Georgia now. You're talking about
Yeah,
they're
right
talking about
here in
Roosevelt.
Georgia.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was shocked. I never remember dancing at the chambers. But he told me, "Son, I didn't know you could dance like that."
We would dance here. New Year's Eve here after Daddy had died. But did y'all have those parties when Daddy was alive? Did y'all have those choir parties when Daddy was alive?
Yeah.
All the dancing and stuff and eating. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's the one started
He
it.
started that. Oh, okay. Wow.
And then I continued. And when I left,
For Caroline did it.
Caroline tried, but
It didn't really make it. Yeah.
China can cook. And China can. But see, I should have had them eat and bring a cover dish.
Yeah. Everybody
Instead,
should.
I did
You
give
did all, but
everything.
you love to cook. That's your thing, though. So. All right. Well, that's good. I think we talked a long time. So we're good. That's good. Thank you, Ma. A lot of good memories about my dad. So.
Okay.